Forget the big news about meetings, deals. Some of the greatest stories are written in old letters, symbols. These are the lost words of Africa. They come from peoples who lived long ago. They reveal the intricate details of life, work, belief, and trade. These ancient scripts are not mere curiosities. They are vital records of human ingenuity and social complexity. They hold the power to challenge and reshape what we think we know about the grand narrative of history. Understanding them is about more than just deciphering old marks. It is about listening to voices that have been silent for far too long, and in doing so, painting a much fuller, more accurate picture of our shared global past. Many people have never heard of these writing systems. The history we often learn in school tends to focus on a few well-trodden paths. We hear about the hieroglyphs of Egypt and the cuneiform of Mesopotamia. We learn about the alphabets of the Greeks and Romans. But this narrow focus leaves vast regions of human experience in the shadows. Africa, a continent of immense diversity and deep history, developed its own sophisticated methods for recording information. These scripts were not simple imitations. They were unique creations, tailored to the languages and cultures that produced them. They show us that the impulse to write, to record, and to remember is a universal human trait. The Meroitic script is one of history's great puzzles. It was the writing system of the Kingdom of Kush, a powerful civilization that flourished on the Nile River, south of ancient Egypt. For nearly a century after its rediscovery, scholars could read the sounds of the alphabet. They knew which symbol stood for P, which symbol stood for M, which symbol stood for A, but they could understand the meaning of only a handful of words. The script was considered largely undecipherable. Some dismissed the Kushites as a culture that borrowed writing from Egypt. They said Kush failed to produce a literature of its own. That view marginalized a major African power. Yet Meroitic inscriptions are found everywhere in the Kushite heartland. Carved on temple walls, painted on pottery, etched onto funerary stones. Stelae. These are not the scribbles of an unsophisticated people. They are records of a complex urban society that lasted 1,000 years. The script is elegant and systematic with two forms, a formal hieroglyphic style used on monuments, a more common cursive script for everyday use. The sheer volume of texts shows writing mattered in Meroitic life. The challenge was to break the code and let these people speak for themselves. Recent breakthroughs are peeling back layers of the Meroitic language, using computers to analyze patterns across hundreds of texts. Scholars have identified grammatical structures, verb endings, sentence patterns. They have started to build a more robust vocabulary. We can now identify words that seem to mean mother, father, son, daughter in funerary texts. We can recognize phrases that likely mean gave, offered. Those phrases appear in temple donation lists. These aren't grand pronouncements, but they're incredibly important. They give us a glimpse into ordinary Meroitic lives. Small discoveries are changing our view of Kush. Texts that were once strings of symbols are beginning to tell stories. An inscription on a drinking cup might be a personal name. A tomb wall line can read as a prayer for bread and water in the afterlife. Some texts list goods, suggesting records of trade, or temple inventories. These details show a society concerned with family, faith, commerce. They confirm Meroe was not a silent kingdom, but a literate one, with cultural and administrative life waiting to be revealed. Further south, in the highlands of what are now Ethiopia and Eritrea, another remarkable script took root. This was Ge'ez. It became the official language and writing system of the powerful Aksumite kingdom, emerging around the 1st century CE. Aksum grew into a major commercial empire. Its cities were hubs of trade, connecting the Roman world and the distant markets of India. Ge'ez was the tool that helped run this complex state. It was used to write royal proclamations, to document laws, to record land ownership, and to issue currency. Its survival and extensive use provide a clear record of a highly organized and literate African administration. Unlike Meroitic, Ge'ez was never truly lost. It evolved over time and remains the liturgical language of the Ethiopian and Eritrean Orthodox Tewahedo churches today. This continuous tradition has made it much easier for scholars to study. The script is an abugida, each character a consonant-vowel pair, beautifully systematic. The vast library of Ge'ez manuscripts covers religious philosophy, and royal chronicles. These texts show a society deeply engaged with the wider world. They record diplomatic missions to other empires and document the kingdom's official conversion to Christianity in the 4th century CE. The records written in Ge'ez reveal a careful, sophisticated state. Royal inscriptions boast of military victories and the expansion of borders. They list the names of conquered peoples and the tribute they were expected to pay. This shows a ruling class with a strong sense of its own power and history, but the texts also tell us about more mundane matters. Records detail the flow of ivory, gold, and spices through Aksumite ports on the Red Sea. These documents prove a complex economy and a capable bureaucracy. Ge'ez gives us an invaluable first-hand account of an African empire on the world stage. It shows the Aksumites not as remote and isolated, but as a cosmopolitan society linked by long-distance trade. The script reveals careful record keepers, ambitious rulers, and devout believers. It captures a civilization that built monumental architecture, minted its own coins, and developed a unique, lasting literary tradition. Ge'ez is a testament to administrative skill and intellectual vibrancy. In a different part of Africa, across the forested regions of what is now southeastern Nigeria, a completely different kind of writing system emerged. This is Nsibidi. It is not an alphabet. It is not a syllabary. It is a system of ideographic symbols. Each sign represents a concept or an idea. Some symbols are simple and pictorial, like a drawing of two people to mean love or marriage. Others are more abstract, their meanings known only to initiates. Nsibidi was not for everyday public writing. It was primarily used by secret societies, such as the Ekpe Society, to convey complex social knowledge, to convey complex legal knowledge, to convey complex spiritual knowledge. The nature of Nsibidi makes it incredibly fascinating. It is a system of communication that is both art and text. The symbols could be drawn on the ground, tattooed on the skin, woven into textiles, painted on houses. Their meaning could change depending on the context or who was viewing them. For example, a sign might be a public warning to everyone, while another might hold a secret legal judgment understood only by members of the Ekpe Society. This versatility made Nsibidi a powerful tool for maintaining social order, passing down history, safeguarding sacred knowledge within the community. Because of its secretive nature, Nsibidi has been particularly difficult for outsiders to fully understand. Much of its meaning was passed down orally from one generation of initiates to the next. The colonial era disrupted many of these traditions, and much of the knowledge was lost. However, scholars and community elders have worked to preserve what remains. They have documented hundreds of Nsibidi symbols and their meanings. These symbols speak of a sophisticated worldview. They cover concepts like war, peace, family, truth, justice. They tell stories and record proverbs, acting as a visual library of cultural wisdom. The question we must ask is why scripts like Meroitic and Nsibidi are not as famous as Egyptian hieroglyphs. For centuries, many Western scholars operated under the assumption that real history and civilization originated in Europe, the Near East. This Eurocentric worldview often led them to view other parts of the world, including much of Africa, as being without history. Consequently, evidence of complex societies and intellectual achievements in Africa was often downplayed, ignored, or misinterpreted. This academic dismissal had practical consequences. It affected which research projects received funding, which archaeological sites were prioritized for excavation and preservation. The study of Meroitic, for instance, languished for decades, partly because the kingdom of Kush was seen as a mere derivative of its more famous northern neighbor, Egypt. The idea that it could have a unique and untranslated language, worthy of serious, sustained effort, was not a popular one. This neglect meant that inscriptions were left to erode, sites were not properly documented, generations of potential scholars were not trained to work on these fascinating puzzles. Furthermore, the very nature of these scripts presented a challenge. Meroitic was a language isolate, meaning it had no known relatives, making it incredibly difficult to decode. Nsibidi was tied to secret societies, its full meaning intentionally hidden from outsiders. These were genuinely hard problems to solve, but instead of being presented as exciting intellectual challenges, their difficulty was sometimes used as an excuse to label them as minor or unimportant. The narrative became, they are undecipherable, and therefore they probably don't have much to say. This was a circular argument that stifled progress for a very long time. Today, there is also a degree of scholarly caution. which can sometimes be mistaken for pushback. When new sweeping claims are made about a script, especially claims that promise to completely rewrite history overnight, the academic community rightly asks for evidence. This is not about dismissing African history. It is about upholding rigorous standards of proof that apply to all historical inquiry. The tension arises when this healthy skepticism is perceived as a continuation of old biases. The story of Africa's lost languages has been transformed by a powerful new ally, technology. The digital revolution has provided scholars with tools their predecessors could only dream of. High-resolution digital photography. Three-dimensional scanning create perfect, permanent records of inscriptions on fragile stone, on crumbling pottery. Digital copies can be shared instantly with researchers worldwide, breaking down geographical barriers, enabling unprecedented collaboration. An expert on Meroitic in Paris can work seamlessly with an archaeologist on a dig in Sudan, comparing notes on a newly discovered text in real time. One exciting development, computational linguistics. Another, artificial intelligence. For Meroitic, with hundreds of texts but few understood words, computers are invaluable. AI algorithms can search for patterns, frequencies, relationships across known inscriptions. They identify recurring clusters that might be names, titles, common grammatical formulas. This helped confirm the structure of funerary texts. The name of the deceased, their parents' names, a plea to the gods. This was a huge step forward. These tools don't replace traditional scholarship, they enhance it. A computer might suggest a sequence functions as a verb, but a trained linguist must test it against grammatical rules and comparative evidence. Digital databases are essential. Compiling every known Meroitic, Nsibidi symbol into a searchable archive lets researchers check variations, contexts, geographical distributions quickly. This speeds work and improves accuracy. A small team can now do what would have taken an army decades ago. News in 2025 highlighted promise and tensions. University teams using computational methods published new readings, proposing meanings for words related to administration, daily life. That sparked excitement and debate. Some hailed a major breakthrough, others asked for caution. Share the raw data, share the algorithms for independent verification. This is how science should work. The new tools force a more open, collaborative approach, leading to more robust and reliable conclusions about Africa's ancient words. The ancient scripts of Africa are far more than just historical curiosities. They are keys. They unlock the doors to vibrant, complex societies that have been misunderstood or ignored for too long. Meroitic, Nsibidi reveal worlds of organized governance, extensive trade, profound spiritual belief, sophisticated legal systems. They are a powerful reminder that the story of human civilization is not a single narrative flowing from one region, but a rich tapestry woven from many threads. These lost words have the power to change how we see not only Africa's past, but the entire history of the world. To ensure these voices are not lost again, we have a collective responsibility. We must work to protect the archaeological sites where these inscriptions are found. Stones crumble and pots break. Without preservation, the primary evidence disappears forever. This means supporting efforts to fund local conservation teams and heritage institutions. It also means committing to the creation of comprehensive digital archives. By scanning every inscription, we create a permanent record that can be studied by future generations, safe from the ravages of time and conflict. This digital preservation is a vital task for our time. Perhaps most importantly, we must invest in people. We need to train a new generation of scholars, especially from Africa itself, who can carry this work forward. By supporting linguistics programs, archaeological field schools, and international collaborations, we can build a global community dedicated to decoding these scripts. Local scholars bring invaluable linguistic and cultural knowledge to the table, and they should be at the forefront of this research. The goal should be to make the study of these ancient languages as accessible and dynamic as the study of Latin or Greek. In the end, this is a story of hope and rediscovery. It is about the fundamental human desire to communicate, to remember, and to leave a mark. The people who carved these symbols into stone and painted them on walls had stories to tell. They wanted to be remembered.